Okay, so today's PowerPoint notes are going to be over mixtures and solutions. I know I said we were going to do mixtures this week and solutions next week, which is still true. However, this PowerPoint just covers both, and it doesn't really hurt you to go ahead and start interweaving the two, because really one is one. It takes one to be the other. Let's see if you can figure out what I mean by that. Okay, so you should have in front of you your paper, your mixtures and solutions skeleton notes. And let's get started in filling this out. All right, so matter can change. That's a simple fact. That is true. Matter can change. When matter changes its appearance, it is called a physical property or physical change. It's been a long day. Okay, so when matter changes its appearance, comma, it is called a physical change. So on your paper, when matter changes its, there's a word you put in there, appearance. Okay, that's why I paused there. It is called a physical change. See? Okay, next. There are 5 types of physical changes that happen to matter, can happen to matter. All right, the first one is the change in the state of matter. Okay, state of matter. This should be number 1. If you take an ice cube and you leave it out on the counter, it's going to melt. Okay, that physical change is going from a solid to a liquid. If you take that same amount of water now, well, let's say you melted it in a pot. Okay, now it's completely melted. Now let's say you're going to put that pot on the stove and you're going to heat it up. It's going to start boiling, and eventually it's all going to evaporate into the air so that nothing is left in the pot. Okay. And then if you take some liquid and you put it in the freezer, it changes from a liquid to a solid. So physical changes can occur in the state of matter changing. All right. All right. This next slide is the next 3 you need to know. So size, mass, and shape. So go ahead and write that down. Size for number 2, mass for number 3, and shape for number 4. And eventually, guys, I'm not going to guide you this much through these notes. I just want to do the first 2 where I'm kind of like holding your hand. That way you really get the understanding of it. All right, so type of physical changes in size, mass, or shape. Let's look at that apple. Okay, an apple, before you cut it or bite into it, it looks like a whole apple. And everyone knows what the shape of an apple looks like. So if I wanted to cut it in half, and I did, then the size of it would definitely be smaller, correct? If I cut half of that apple off and threw it away, okay? The other half would be much smaller. The mass of the apple that's left would be less. So if I weighed an apple on a triple beam balance, and it said it was 12 grams, but now I'm going to weigh half of that apple, the half that I'm going to keep, and it only weighs 6 grams. See how that works? It's less. And then last, the shape. So if an apple went from a normal apple shape, and then I cut it in half, threw the half of it away, would it still look like an apple, or would it look like half of an apple? Same thing with the paper, and that's a window that's been broken. If you tear a piece of paper, you've now changed its size, its mass, and its shape. And same with that window. Okay? And then last is color. So your number 5 should say color. All right, so how can matter change color? Well, if I add, let's see. If I add sand to water and I stir it all up, doesn't the water start looking brown? You betcha. Okay, so this is going to be a really gross analogy. But have you ever heard of people able to put some kind of chemical in a swimming pool so that when people supposedly pee in there, it turns a funky color? Well, that could be a change in color, because let's say the water is like natural pool blue, and then someone put a chemical in there, and then when the human body urine chemical hits that chemical, then all of a sudden, let's say you get a big old red cloud around you. Okay, That's a physical change. How about some foods when they're cooked? They go from like a normal color, like I don't know what pinto beans. They look different when you cook them, because before you cook them they have like brown with white spots, and then when you cook them and they become charro beans, my favorite, then they're like solid brown and a little darker too. All right, next, mixtures. All right, a combination of 2 or more substances. So on your paper it says mixture, a combination of, you're going to write 2 or more substances. And look at the picture. You've got quarters, pennies, dimes, nickels. Those are all mixtures. They're all money, but they're all mixture, and you can sort them. All right, the next word is solution, and that's a mixture in which one substance dissolves in another. So you're going to write, let's see, a mixture in which one substance dissolves in another. Okay, and there's a good example right there, lemonade with ice. So I'm thinking they already squeezed the lemon juice into that pitcher of water, and then they just dropped a couple more lemons in there, and then they put some ice cubes in there. Once that ice melts, then is that going to become part of the solution right there? Yeah, of course, that's just going to be more water. So, ooh, thought-provoking. Would the yellow of that lemonade still stay that yellow, or would it start turning a little lighter or darker? If you keep adding water to that lemonade picture right there, is that yellow going to be darker or lighter? Lighter, right? Because just like you're diluting it some. All right, so I have, okay, so solutions. When something dissolves, it gets smaller and smaller until it can no longer be seen. So they've got sugar plus water and an ice cube. All right, separating mixtures. You can separate mixtures using evaporation, magnets, or funnels and filters. Mixtures to separate using the tool. So let's see where this goes. Evaporation. Evaporation can separate water and salt, water and sugar. Oh, okay. So method of separating mixture is evaporation, and mixtures to separate using the tool. Okay, so here you're going to put water and salt and water and sugar. Okay, that water and sugar is new to me, so we're going to have to try that. So my paper looks like that. You're going to put both of them there. All right, the next one is magnets. Magnets can separate iron fillings and pepper, and aluminum cans and iron cans, because aluminum cans are not attracted to magnets, so it's going to just pick up the iron cans. So you're going to write both statements, iron fillings and pepper, and aluminum cans and iron cans. And next is funnels and filters. So funnels can separate sand and medium rocks. So say you have a whole mixture of sand and rocks. You could pour the sand, the whole mixture in there, and if they're big enough rocks that they can't go through the tiny little opening, they should stay in that funnel. And then you can also separate water and sand. Oh, filters can separate water and sand. So let's do sand and medium rocks, or gravel, or whatever you want to call it, and sand and water. And remember, the filter they keep talking about is like coffee filters. All right, so this is, your sheet should look all filled out like this. Okay. All right, make sure you put your name on it and turn it in the basket. Thanks. Bye.